and welcome to the very first episode of the Patriot Generation. My name is Elijah Smith, and if you haven't listened to the trailer, let me just kind of introduce this podcast and what we're going to be talking about. So, this podcast is brought to you from the youth of today, the people who are not quite adults, but we're on the way there. We are the edge of Gen Z. We are just kind of like the people who are going to be influencing this country's future. So we're going to be covering a broad range of topics, including current events, theology, and just stuff that will be important to bettering a better life, or whatever they say. So, yeah. And I've got a roundtable of guests with me. Let me introduce them. Andrew, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Sitting in Elijah's filming studio, surrounded by movie posters of various classics. Happy to be here.
Awesome.
I'm into health and nutrition. Cameron, how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty well. I'm definitely getting into the rhythm of just life, finding where I am, and I've kind of more decided that I'm into like theology and that kind of stuff. And Weston, how about you?
I am Weston, and I am excited to be sitting here with all you guys. I'm sure we're about to have quite a few good conversations, and I like to take things with a grain of salt. You never know what the person telling you or government, whatever that is, what intentions that they actually have. So that's all about me.
All right, so on this first episode, we're going to be talking about the fall of modern masculinity. So any of us know, anyone who's lived on the planet and not under a rock, knows that masculinity is not the same as it was 10, 15, 20 years ago. It's very different. And there's one of two ways that it's completely different. It's either just absolutely rooted out of life completely, or it's like, don't be masculine, like these feminists and woke people and stuff telling us not to be masculine, or it's the opposite. It's super hyper masculinity to the point where it's toxic masculinity. Now, libs throw around this term of toxic masculinity as just kind of like an accusation for any masculinity, but there is a real sense of toxic masculinity, right, guys? And it's bad. Like this idea of just kind of like do whatever it takes to get money, like sleep around, all this kind of stuff. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. So what do you guys think of that?
I definitely feel like what people mistake for masculinity nowadays is more of an animalistic the animalistic desires. Because if you're thinking about the kind of people who push forward masculinity as an excuse to be super, super controlling and super, super, domineering, that's kind of I don't want to get into, I don't want to talk about that side of things, but, the alpha wolf complex is what some people will say.
Yeah.
Where, they think that they have to lead and they have to use leadership abilities that, leadership is definitely a good trait to have, but when you use it for your own gain, for what I'd say would be, gluttony and other types of things where, in the animal kingdom, you have the animals who will do anything to get another meal, and I feel like meals and pleasures and power and just feelings of comfort has become what people will now glut themselves on.
Right.
I think how I see it is nowadays is almost like a small religion that's been started recently. It's incredibly rude to everyone else in your world when you think that you're just so much better than everyone else just because of some earthly attribute like money, power. Your business is half successful for once.
Even desirability, with women or with people and stuff, just this giant ego that can just take control of a man's just instantly. It's crazy.
A lot of the left side is just promoting that you are your own god. And so if you have a pronoun, everybody has to call you that because that's what you want. And
yeah, it's the god of self above all.
Yeah, it's not all about you. That's what.
Yeah, that's kind of the tenet of the left's ideology. And at the same time,
and the other extreme of the spectrum.
Yeah, the extreme red pill. It's the self is the god of self. Basically what they're saying in essence is I am God. You listen to what I say, and everything revolves around me, and all my desires, all my fantasies. Everything has to cater to me. Like this is kind of a tangent, but I've heard of this kind of like fat acceptance thing, and that can be a topic for a whole other podcast.
Yeah.
But all these like fat acceptance people are demanding that like these hallways don't fit them or something. Like these seats don't fit them. So they literally demand that buildings be taken down and rebuilt for them to accommodate them. And it's not even something that they can't control. It's like something that they can literally just. It's completely up to them. It's insane. It's this idea that like what I want matters most, and everything else has to bow to that.
Mm-hmm. And I definitely think that saying that on both sides of the spectrum, where we have the far extreme right and the far extreme left, well, just there's so many, like, in my brainstorming for this episode, I kind of figured out that there was two really different things that both of them have. There's the extremes, so like for the far left, you have more of the obesity, and you have, like, kind of what Elijah was saying, you have obesity and just letting yourself be not being dedicated at all to taking care of your body and having, like, the soy jack diet, like McDonald's and everything. But then on the other extreme, there is almost an idolatry of working out and an idolatry of being healthy. And then there's also the similarities where you have, like, on the far left side, you have, like, all the people who are addicted to porn. And then on the other side, you have all the people...
You also kind of have that as well.
No,
and then you have...
definitely on both sides.
And on the other side, you kind of have the same exact thing.
Yeah.
And so many people will be like, oh, I'm so far on this side. I'm so healthy. I'm so much more knowledgeable about the universe. But then you realize that you boil it down to the same part. You boil it down to the basic parts of it. Is that just the same exact thing, just two different flavors.
Right.
It's like that one meme where it's like the illusion of choice, where it's those two hallways that both end up in the same room.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think they're, like, so I'm into diet and fitness and stuff, and from what I've seen on my side of the internet is that a lot of people really like to go for the hard things, right? This is like a new thing because life's so easy that if you don't throw hard things at yourself intentionally, you're not going to get hard things. It's kind of like that. Our world's been designed to be so easy. So people purposely do these hard things for themselves that end up aging them drastically because you're amping up your cortisol levels and all this stuff. And I think when you look at all of these influencers, they all have this like same little style going for them. They all have like the long beard, bald head, and they look like they're well. Like, were we talking about Andrew Tate? Like, how old do you think Andrew Tate is?
I don't.
Let's everyone take a guess. Let's go around. Weston probably.
I'm just gonna throw a guess out here. 35.
I will look it up while you guys guess.
What do you
just to
think?
Make sure.
I would say.
How old does he
40.
look like he is?
He looks.
He looks young 30s.
Yeah, he definitely looks around that age.
Here, how about I show you a photo?
And then when we're kind of on the
Oh my
topic,
gosh, he looks like that? Oh my gosh. Wow. That is not what I remember Andrew Tate looking like.
How old do you think?
That was like a year ago.
Wow.
That was when he just got out of prison.
Like if you saw a man.
Those are
like this, how
those
old
are
would you
those
think?
are the eyes of someone who is on some kind of chemical dependency.
Yeah, I can see those eyes right now. If you guys search up a photo of Andrew Tate, you'll find exactly what we're looking at right now. So let's get our guesses out here.
I'm gonna go late 30s. What about you?
I'm gonna say 39.
This is a very recent picture. That's more recent.
Huh, it looks pretty similar. He actually looks. Why is he holding on to this like little bit of hair in this photo? It's like
Because he got out of jail.
oh
Yeah,
he
normally I see him
Yeah.
like bald in the
Yeah,
old
that's
clips
what he
of him.
usually. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And normally with sunglasses too.
Oh yeah, you gotta have the sunglasses if you're gonna get the Andrew Tate look.
Oh no, please no.
So this idea of being super hard and like really strong and all this stuff, like I definitely understand where it's coming from.
Mm-hmm.
I do that stuff in my own life. I just don't do it to the same extent because I know how much that actually ages you, and I think we've like there's this culture that's being pressed that says like age yourself, stay up super late, work super long hours, and all this stuff age your body, and then when you're 40, you get to this point where you like have some rewards about this, and I just don't think that works, because the idea that women are attracted to this like shadow of a man, this like old looking disheveled guy, that it looks very like, from these photos what we're seeing, it doesn't look too far from the soy jack thing that we're talking about. He just has a muscular frame. So it's probably like the TRT, like all that stuff, it just ages you.
Well, there's also the fact that the bodybuilders and all the people who look strong aren't beat out in a lot of physical contests by people who don't look as good, but have the actual endurance and the actual agility and everything.
Yeah. It's a strength versus looks kind of thing.
Yes.
Like practical strength, or just you want to look good on your
But it's
TikTok.
not even like that. It's not even like being a bodybuilder actually looks that good. Like,
Yeah.
I actually respect bodybuilders. I think they're if I saw one on the street, I'd be like, salute them. Like, that's actually super cool and stuff.
But the extreme body
I would-
builds like actually look so weird.
They don't. It's not like an attractive look. It's like everyone that's going to bodybuilding isn't like, I'm gonna try to be as attractive as I can. If you're going into it with that, you're going in with the wrong mindset. It should be like, I want to become a monster. Because if that's your goal, then I guess that's what you're doing, because you look like a mutant, bro. You look pretty big. So
Yeah. But more on Andrew Tate, it's obviously more than just like the looks and all that.
Based off you guys' guesses, by the way, he's 38.
Oh,
so.
wow.
Oh, okay. So pretty close to what we were guessing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about you guys, but my dad's in his like, I think he's like 10 years older than Andrew Tate.
Wow.
And
Exposing your dad like
I know. Take a look at this photo. It's just like a group photo, you know? Like, a man should not look like they're in their elderly years before they even hit 40. Like,
But it's not even elderly. It's some weird like mutation. It's like it doesn't look naturally old.
It just,
Well, it's kind of like the chemical dependencies that you get. Like, have you seen the pictures where it's like before and after of people who like went through insane like cocaine addictions and that kind of stuff, or it just completely ruins the way they look?
when I was
think
looking
that's
for
one of
images
it.
online, I found a lot with him with sunglasses on. His brother doesn't have the same eye look, so I can't really think that it's genetic. So it's probably from staying up super late, not sleeping, like all the things that are probably to do with the mindset that he has.
Sleep deprivation. could
Tons of
definitely play.
drinking, all this stuff will like ruin your facial structure and stuff. So
Yeah.
and we can't even see his jaw because he always has a beard. So
But like the thing, one of the biggest things about Andrew Tate and this kind of like red pill, like the super far red pill stuff, is like, you know, men are often accused of being misogynistic for like being against like feminism and stuff, and that's insane. But Andrew Tate is like actually like, he admitted on camera multiple times to being a pimp and like, you know, doing all this stuff and just treating women like objects, and that kind of mindset of just like, he literally called like women like these girls are assets. Like, he said that in a video I've listened to.
Crazy.
It's insane. And this kind of mindset is more pervasive than you might think. Maybe not to that extreme in a lot of people who follow Andrew Tate and people like that, but just this kind of idea, it's like don't get married, just sleep around because it doesn't matter, you know, women will just turn against you, like they'll just like divorce you, which that is based in some truth.
Yes, because well, it's more
like the Me Too movement and stuff.
yeah, that, and also there's so much stuff where it's like so many people want to diagnose problems, or like one of the big problems is like the high divorce rate and like teen pregnancies and all that kind of stuff are only symptoms of a real problem which is deep at the society, and it's that we have abandoned so much of our morals, and like especially I've been talking to a bunch of older people in at church and all that kind of stuff about like the absence of discipleship and the absence of people who are there to not just say you should be better and then leave you, people who are there to say I will help you be better, kind of like accountability partners who won't just say every month they'll be like don't goon or whatever. And
no way we're using that word.
I just didn't want to. but then there's gonna be the people that but people who actually like check in with you every day and actually are there for you when you call them.
Yeah.
And like having that kind of thing is one of the things that not having those mentors and not having accountability is one of the things that has led to the different roads where you have like either the people who are such slaves to pleasure that they're having like 10 times the amount of food that a regular person should have a day, and they're just like super super fat, or you have the people who start to
It's
treat
not necessarily
pain as pleasure.
the amount of
Yeah,
food,
I know,
like
I
the
know.
table size. It's more like the calories
Yeah,
and the
I
stuff
know,
like that,
I
and
know.
also
Right.
the quality of food. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like we could make a whole episode about this, but like God made food for humans, and
Yes.
the food we're eating in the modern diet is made
Is
by men.
by humans,
yeah, it's
yeah.
made by men. So of course you're gonna get fat. And
I don't want to be jumping around like too much, but back to what you had said though, the definition. So an asset is anything that adds to your value. So if you
Oh,
literally look
wow.
up the definition,
Wow.
asset is a useful or valuable thing, person, or quality. So people can be assets. You
Okay,
can
but
use
that's,
it.
That's
in,
not
That's
what
not
an
the way
asset
in
to
which-
make money. That is what he said.
I
asset
agree
to
that I
finance
that
Financial
goes down
asset.
some dark paths right there
So,
if you read into it a little bit.
I agree that
Don't defend it, Weston.
I agree. No. I agree that he's not using it that way. I'm just saying, let's reference
I
that
disagree.
a little bit differently
I think
when
he is
we.
using it that way.
You think he's using it to say that? Hold up.
Oh,
A
to
useful
say-
or valuable thing, person, or quality. I don't think he was using it that way.
Well, yeah,
I think
He
he's
definitely was
using.
That would be the good way to
I don't
use
think
it.
he's
Like I could
saying
say,
he's using it.
like
I could say that you three are assets in that definition. That you three are
Like,
are
if
assets
people,
to the community and to
yes.
lives of other people, not an asset to somebody else to make money. Like
Yes.
an
right,
object.
right. So I agree that that's the way he's using it, but I just want to be careful what we're saying because by definition, like Cameron, I would say is an asset to me because he helps make me a better person, and I've learned a lot from him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But the way that he's using it, I agree, is
Yeah,
not in that
yeah,
way.
like an object. Yeah.
Right. I just want to
Like
make
a-
sure
like
that
a
we're
machine.
getting-
Like a
clickbait.
machine.
Correct.
Using a woman as clickbait on a video.
Yes,
Like, that's what
he's
I'm
clearly
hearing.
talking
Or
more
like an
of
like a
object.
thing you're trying
An
to sell.
object and an asset are very different things. So that's what I'm saying. I would rather us make sure our terminology is correct.
Yes.
Right. I'm
Right.
just saying
So,
asset
yeah,
because that's what he said in the clip.
Right. But
that's-
yes,
that he
correct.
said-
So he meant object, but yes, yeah.
Right.
Who are some other people you think are in the space that are also causing problems?
No one's quite as famous as him. I feel like
Definitely
you would
not.
probably know more of these because I'm not too plugged into the fitness influencer kind of world. I feel like there are some fringe conservative influencers. I don't know if Nick Fuentes factors into this. He's more about Israel, I think. I don't really know.
I don't know about any of these people you guys talk about. I always like to think, like, when we're talking about just, like, how human people are, how sinful people are, I always like to think that, like, if there was a competition, who could be the most human, like, I would win every time. That's kind of what I think about. Like, I never really like to look out here and search up stuff and try to figure out who's bad, who's good. I think that solving these problems and being influenced in that way is important. I think it's more like, what can you do? Like, the biggest problems in the world are in here. Like, they're in this room. Like, they're in our own lives. That's what we should be worried about. So, that's how I care.
Yeah, and
I
we
don't
can't
gossip
solve
and
other
stuff.
people's problems without having solved our own.
Yeah,
first.
yeah. When you get the 4 kids sitting around talking about, like, how they can change the world, which I think they can, but, like,
It's a
I
good
think
goal.
you need to start with your own life first. I'm talking about Andrew Tate and these people that do not care at all. Very obviously, they really thrive off the controversy that's coming out. So that's why we're not putting it in the thumbnail. Future Elijah, don't do it. But, yeah. I think we should look at our own lives before we look at other people's lives. That's
Take
why.
the plank out
For
of
sure.
your own eye
Yeah.
before
Yeah.
removing the speck in your brother's.
Yes.
For sure, man.
Absolutely.
So where were we?
Yeah, we had a quick cut there.
Yeah. Anyway, back to kind of this like woman grind set. kind of
What?
thing.
That's
Woman-
not
Yeah.
what
Alright, we're not
That's
putting this in.
not what we
Alright,
were talking about.
Alright.
Hold
Let's-
on. I
alright,
think
that's
I was
all
the
we
last
can cut.
person to talk.
Let's
What we
just
were
say-
talking about
okay.
was
Yeah.
how the problems in the world
Oh yes.
are
Right,
a lot less
right.
important than the problems we face in our own lives.
That's a really
Because
good point, Andrew.
Thank you.
I wouldn't say the world's problems are less important
No,
than our own
that's true.
problems.
But the thing is, like
Well-
these other people's flaws and stuff.
But if you
can
talk,
influence us.
what I'm talking about is if you sit here on a podcast and you talk about the world's problems and neglect all your own.
Well,
life's
yeah.
gonna
Right, yeah,
suck.
obviously, yes.
of
yeah.
course.
Yeah.
Well, it's the kind of thing where
But everyone's
you also have your
flawed.
spheres of control. Like, we can't really affect everything else in the world, but what we can affect is the small circles that we do have, and what the only thing that interlaps in every single one of our own personal circles is ourselves.
Right.
Because, like, I can't control what Weston does. I can't control what Andrew does. I can't control what Elijah does, but I can control what I do.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's just,
Yes.
just like, I've noticed a lot recently, just like so much about like because we were kind of on the topic of like diet, and some people will be like overly unhealthy and some people will be overly healthy, like healthy to a point where it's
what
an
do you
idol.
think is over healthy?
I think over is where it becomes more, you become more focused on eating healthy and being healthy than you do on God.
I'll just give an
That
example.
that is what I call the idol threshold, where something crosses between like on the standing of how much time you spend doing the thing. Like God, like I'm not saying that this is what it is for me. This is what it should be for everyone. But like spending the most time doing something for God, like of course there's going to be the people who spend a decent amount of time being healthy because it's the calling of a Christian to have a healthy body. But then there's the people who don't do it for the right reasons, and it starts to take precedence over God, and especially for people who don't even have God on the top 10 of their list.
I don't really want to get into this too much on this. I think we can save
Yeah.
this for another episode. But what would you say are foods that you think are healthy?
Like, minimally processed stuff mainly.
Okay.
It's hard because
It needs to be
there's
not
so
processed.
many.
Like, it needs to be, like, raw, dude.
Yeah.
It can be cooked, obviously.
Cooked,
but
yeah.
you can't have any process.
If you don't eat raw steak every day,
Even-
4 a.m. with a taste of blood
Problem
in
is,
your mouth.
even like
Oh,
90% of fruit that you see has so much chemicals
Oh,
on
my
it.
God.
It's like-
Glyphosate? Do you know
mainly
glyphosate?
mainly my opinion on it is, besides like washing it off and like maybe cutting off the parts that are unedible,
Are you
I
guys
think that something should be completely unchanged from the time that it was harvested to the time that you're cooking it.
Yeah.
Like
Well-
cooking it, like when you chop it up and spice it and everything, that's different. But like I'd think that
I think we wouldn't be in this, be doing this podcast justice if we didn't talk about the Matrix. What's thrown out there about the Matrix, and I think there's a lot of misconceptions about the Matrix because if you really have any knowledge about economics and how economics works, Matrix just doesn't make sense. Now I do think there's things like the Hollywood and other areas like that where they're obviously
The
controlling
Matrix
people.
is
These
just
are
a term to
psyops
say,
to
like-
control society.
Yeah, the Matrix is just
But-
a term to say, like, there's people with bad intentions who are very powerful up there controlling pretty much everything you see.
Basically,
But-
power
hold
with
on.
no accountability.
Hold on. When I was 14 and I was trying to be healthy and I looked at the labels of all of these foods, they were all unhealthy. And I thought it was like, I was like, this is the Matrix trying to make me more like feminine, all this stuff. Because I was a 14-year-old kid. But as I've realized it, I'm like, when you look at business point of view, if they can make their stuff cheaper than the other guy, they're going to make more money for the most part if people don't care about quality.
Yeah.
So, and I know that some people don't. Like, a lot of people don't. And that's why they make money.
You could say that, well, they only don't care because we've done this, but I think it's the opposite. I think it's an equal thing. Like, we stop caring, they start making more of it,
Yes.
they start making more of it, we care less, and the cycle just keeps going.
Yeah.
and
Let me
going.
ask you this, Elijah. If you knew that you could eat healthy for the same price, but you'd have to put more time into it, would you do it?
I'd like to say I would.
Okay.
we
So
all
that's the
we
problem.
all would like to
There's
answer yes.
Yeah.
But in actuality, would we is a completely different question.
Yeah.
I think that there's unhealthy food out there
Convenience
that
sells.
convenience. There you go. Like when I'm at an airport and
Convenience,
stuff.
comfort, and control. The 3 C's that control our society.
When you're in an airport, you can have this like comfort food. I think that like will get you through the day, right? But when you're on your own time in your own kitchen, you should be making healthy food,
Mhm.
right? You should be. If we're talking about masculinity, we're talking about trying to be the best version of yourself. The food you're putting in, like
Yeah.
I feel guilty. Like I feel the same guilt that if I'm like sinning, to the same guilt if I like have some bad food. I know maybe that's a little overdramatic, but I feel like it could almost be a sin in the Bible to have healthy food because, like I was talking about earlier, God made food for us. It says Genesis like it's like Genesis 1:29 or something, or Genesis 1:29. Do you have a Bible?
I do
Yeah.
have a Bible.
It talks about how God made fruits and vegetables, and then later in Genesis it talks about how He gives us animals. We're pulling it up, guys.
So, 11, it says, Then God said, Let the land sprout with vegetation, every sort of seed-bearing plant, and that trees that grow seed-bearing fruit. These seeds will then produce the kinds of plants and trees from which they came. It's it kind of talking about how like
Wait, are you even on the right thing though? I don't think you're on the right thing.
I'm not sure.
29. It's 129.
Look, Then God said, "Look, I have given you every seed-bearing plant throughout the earth, and fruit trees to you for food. And I have given you every green plant as food for all the wild animals, the birds in the sky, and the small animals that scurry along the ground, everything that has life."
Oh wow!
And
so that also encompasses meat, actually.
Yeah, this is the NLT though, New Living Translation. So it is going to have a little less actual translation and a little more thought for thought.
True.
We can definitely talk about in a later episode if we're going to talk about.
Well, later in Genesis, it does bring up animals too. So for the vegans out there, you can actually eat meat, but thank you for keeping the meat prices decently low.
Well, actually,
I was talking to my dad the other day, and I was like, I still understand why people don't eat meat, and he's like, me neither, but it's fine.
More for us, baby. I think
us.
there was actually a passage that I've been looking at. Like I've actually been, I picked two books of the Bible, one in the Old and one in the New Testament, to kind of look through specifically for getting as much as I can from it. And one of the ones that I chose is Romans, and in Romans 14 it's talking about like verse 21 says, "It is better not to eat meat or drink wine or do anything else if it might cause another believer to stumble." And it's the kind of thing where it says later, verse 23, "If you do anything you believe is not right, you are sinning." Which kind of applies to you saying that like you feel the same eating unhealthy as doing as sinning, and it kind of, I think that kind of mixes in with all the stuff in the Sermon on the Mount where Jesus is like, if you think in your mind about lustful activities, it's the same thing as actually doing them. If you get mad at someone and call them a fool or whatever, it says it's the same as committing murder against them. And very similar to like in your mind, like your conscience is there to tell you when you are sinning.
Yeah.
And kind of talking
People
about
suppress that. That's why we have the culture that
yes,
we do have.
And talking about veganism and all that kind of stuff. Like there are people who believe that like meat is not for us to eat, and like there are like I think that if we actually
but vegans die. Like
so
we all die, but vegans die way earlier than they should. Also, you there's things in meat that you need. You need iron.
Yeah.
You need zinc. You need vitamin. What's the vitamin? Vitamin B12. Right. So like you can't get these from plants. You need protein, right? So.
And meat.
Leave. Leave the podcast. You're bringing all the slang in here. We don't need it.
Meat does help a lot with brain growth. Also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's also like nice protein in a package that we can like I'm wanting to get into butchering. Like I want to have like a farm and I want to grow livestock and plants and everything.
Maybe I can buy from you.
Oh yeah, that's the plan is to
how much will you mark up that?
I don't really know. Like my plan is to kind of I want to write books, I want to do creative stuff now before I have dependents. Before I have like a wife and kids who actually like need food and housing and water from me, while I'm living under my parents' roof and eating my parents' food, I want to have like all the creative stuff, and then I want to kind of use that creative stuff because I've heard that if you can actually get the right deals, like I don't want to self-publish too much, but if you can get a nice audience with traditional publishing and then self-publish, you keep a much wider margin of the publishing. And it kind of gives you a lot more money, and then using that and also using that as kind of a Kickstarter for buying land and buying livestock and plants. And then I'm definitely not going to try to get it into not retail, but like I definitely don't want to be like a huge business, but I want to have it be like people that I know will be buying.
That's great. Yeah.
And the goal is
do that.
The goal is to get a lot of people that I know who have a very similar interest of wanting to raise their kids on a farm, because my thought was that we have so much of an individualized society that community is something that we have to search to find. And that was not how it was before we had phones and before we had the internet. Like
I don't rely on our neighbor for anything anymore.
Like I used
don't
to
even
think,
know any of my neighbors' names.
Yeah, that's like it's definitely a problem that like it's definitely like thinking about how it was where you knew your neighbors.
That's probably
you
your
knew,
fault, though. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
like you knew everyone who lived around you, and like the people here, like
And they would live miles away. They
Yeah.
didn't live. I see his neighbors right
Yes.
now. Like,
And, like,
they live miles down the road, and you would need to go down there to get who knows what. Like, what you need to survive.
Yeah, so like my idea is kind of like get maybe 10 families who I know are gonna raise kids who are like really, really Christ centered, and so we don't have to have neighbors who we only talk to like once or twice a week, and then we have everyone else who lives so far away. Like bring the community to your house.
I want to do that too. Like, grow up and
all
just
four
have,
of us.
have
like,
your.
yeah.
But no, like seriously though, like
The
have
viewers,
your,
hit us up. No,
have your neighbors and the people next to you literally be people that you want to help and be around raising your kids and all of that. Like, build that community for them instead of just moving to a neighborhood with people that you don't know.
And
which
if you can turn it into some sort of
can-
economy where people
Right.
are producing things that people need for each
Mhm.
other. That
Like, I'm
can
definitely
actually
wanting
work
to,
out.
like,
A
have
self-sustained
It's just
money.
people sitting in like
community,
boxes
yeah.
together, like, "Hey, you're my friend." Like, let's wave to each other. That doesn't do anything.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
You need to like be creating stuff for each other.
Well,
that
my
actually,
mom, actually, it's kind of funny. I've been talking a lot about how, because none of my social activities have really started back up besides youth group, like, I have no social contact, and I'm a very outgoing person. And it's like she was wanting me to, like she suggested going to the Y and making some friends, and I'm like, that's not how I make friends. Like, I have made friends very quickly at places, but, like, the people here and, like, the people who I actually get serious with are people who I have shared experiences with. Like youth camps, like, I'd say probably one of the closest, like, just people that I trust, like, even though I wouldn't choose to hang out with them over some other people that I know, like, I know I can depend on them, are, like, my brothers at Trail Life, because we go through, like, specifically the group that I went to Alaska with this summer. Like, we went through lots and lots of hikes. We went through rain. We went through not having enough food. We went through arguments, and we have so much of this bonding stuff.
Yeah.
And that's what we need. And
that's the beautiful thing about sports. I don't really play too many sports.
Yeah.
But whenever I do,
I hate
like,
team sports because
Yeah.
I get super competitive, and then especially like when I was younger, all the team sports were like having like me and the coach and like one other kid on the team actually cared, and everyone else was just like, let's have fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've done swimming in the summer. That's where I get that from. So
Yeah. For me,
you get this brotherhood with the people, and they're all like
Sharing and suffering
they're all like
really
very
bonds you.
very public schooled kids, swearing,
Bleh.
and all sorts of stuff. And I still have this like connection because I know I don't agree with them. I know we don't like talk deep in any way, but it's just we've gone through something that was hard together, and we came out and we actually won this year. So like that type of thing. Anyway, back to like something. What's the theme of this podcast?
The fall of modern masculinity. So what do you guys think of this? Like, this,
What if we call it the rise of modern masculinity? How do we
Positive attitude.
how do we
I
make
feel
it
like
better?
we can help
Yeah,
work
yeah.
on the rise part, but
How do we make it
I feel like
better?
right now it's
Well, I
more
feel
of
like
a
what you were
fall.
saying,
But-
like focusing on ourselves, not in a self-centered way, but like bettering ourselves so that we can then be better for others. Because like I've talked to a lot of people who like I know someone who's like using the analogy of like pouring out yourself into others, and if you don't take the time to refill your cup by like your own self and your own activities, and you spend all your time serving, eventually you're going to be empty. But if you refill yourself, and like I used to think that it was selfish to take a break from serving to let other people serve me, but then I realized that that's in turn serving others, because you're not helping anyone if you have no sleep, no energy, you're ticked off all the time, and you're trying to be positive for them, but you aren't. You're helping people so much more if you give them a little less time, but that time that you do give them is actually genuine and you actually want to be there. And you can give them 100%.
Yeah. Just so you know, guys, if you guys think Cameron is really planned out, it's because he is. He has pencil, paper, all of it.
This is
he
a
is
pen.
awesome right now. He came way more prepared than all of us combined.
Yeah,
so.
I
Applaud to Cameron.
Yeah.
He's doing awesome.
Yeah.
He's keeping the podcast alive.
Yeah. But what do you guys think of this concept of like hustle culture? Kind of this just like what I think we talked about it very briefly earlier, but this kind of just wake up early, work all day, Like,
I hate it.
don't do anything else.
I hate it. I hate it.
Who
Like-
likes waking up early? Let's just figure that out first.
I actually,
I
I
like-
kind of do.
I like
all of
waking
us?
up early to
So
give
all of
myself
us
more
then?
hours of the day.
I don't, but I kind of like it.
What's early to you guys?
Early for me is like 6 or 7.
No, that's good.
No, that's not bad. That's early to me. I would say
Oh
7.
my goodness.
Oh,
Was that in the notes?
oh,
Okay, so yeah, to me, I feel like you should not be waking up at like 4. That's
Yeah,
way
that's-
too early. 5's
You need to
Five's
have
too early.
5's too early.
You need to have
6
sleep.
is good though.
Like I used to hate sleep. I used to think that I was being lazy by sleeping, and now I've kind of realized that even if there's a day where you stay up later than you usually do, it is not wrong to set your alarm a few. Like if you usually go to bed at 11 and you stay up till 1, you usually wake up at 7. It's not wrong if you don't have anything to do that day to move your alarm to 9. Like in my opinion, so that you have consistent sleep, because sleep is healing. Like the power of sleep in like healing and just like in rest. Because like I've had a really bad day, went down for a nap.
Are you aware of your circadian rhythm?
Yes.
Do you know what that is? Okay,
Yes.
so
Like,
your
Okay,
sleep.
I will say this.
It got
I'd love
messed
to
up
have a whole
so
episode
bad.
about
Yeah.
sleep, so let's only stay on this for a little bit.
Sleep.
My
Yeah.
sleep
Wow.
got messed
I
up.
would.
Invite me back for that episode.
Yeah.
My
Dreams?
sleep got messed
Yeah.
up
I have a lot to say about that. I have a lot to say about that.
I never dream. So you'll be
I've
talking
been
all
kind
time.
of like dream maxing recently. So I
my
have
sleep
a lot to say about
got messed up so bad in Alaska because
Yeah.
the sun set at
Yeah.
Oh,
12
yeah.
and rose at 4,
Oh.
and when it was down,
That's
it was
your
like
circadian
just
rhythm.
down
Yeah.
below the horizon. It's like we
Yeah.
brought sleeping masks and everything, but it was
It's
beautiful.
Wait, were you guys camping or were you in a cabin?
Camping.
Okay.
We don't
Wow.
glamp. We don't glamp.
Okay.
We're men. We're masculine.
Camping's
that-
so fun.
No, that is true masculine. Yeah, I've
I was
been
forced to
camping
go
5
camping.
times. It's so fun.
I was wanting to go camping sometime.
I've been
Yeah.
camping.
That'd be good.
I went camping with my family. That was super sick. We camped in a tent, but we were on like a camping.
You've been camping a lot.
Yeah, I've been camping in the last. I've never camped before like the last year, but yeah, I've camped a lot.
I camp. I almost camp so much that it almost gets old. Because with Trail Life, I go on a weekend trip every month.
Oh wow.
And it's the kind of thing where I'm at the part in my troop where I'm now about to be like literally in the position where I'm in charge of the troop, because it's boy led and it's focused on having, you learn nothing if you have a 40-year-old man being grumpy and telling you what to do all the time. Like I definitely feel like I've grown so much in maturity and in responsibility by having to make the decisions like for example the first trip where I was a little further down in the leadership position, but because the 2 people above me weren't able to be there, I had to take over first officer. So we were down in like Table Rock, South Carolina, and around that time there was a wildfire, and we didn't really hear about it. But then like the adults they start saying like, so someone gets hurt earlier that day and has to leave early, so that's already stressful. And then like.
Oh, by the way, the forest's on fire.
And then like the adults are like, oh yeah, like there's a forest fire 50 miles away, and if it starts if the wind starts blowing our direction, then it will be at us in like 5 hours, which isn't a lot, which isn't too short. But when you're asleep, like if it changed during the night, we wouldn't know, and then be like, oh look at that fire.
Oh, that's weird. The horizon's glow. Oh no.
But so like I had to make the choice
Oh,
on
the
my
sun's
feet.
rising.
I had to make the choice on my feet to say like we're leaving a day early, like, and there's so much about that kind of stuff.
That decision was left up to you.
Well, they kind of said we have to leave, but like I had to be the one to tell.
You had to be the one to.
A lot of the
relay
times
the
the adults
information.
take over. Like there's been someone who's like been really really bad lately at just like he kind of messes up, like he using a biblical perspective, like he's the leaven that leavens the whole loaf. So like
So you're like the translator, like the adults give you the messages and you have to present it to all the kids that want to stay at the
kind
camp.
of. Right now I'm second officer, so there's one person above me who has that responsibility. But how like the leadership works is there's a 2-year period that you like. There's a contract that you sign that puts you into the leadership for 2 years for the senior leadership patrol. And you start out as quartermaster, so you're in charge of the gear for the troop for 6 months. Then you're second officer for 6 months, first officer for 6 months, and then chaplain's aide for 6 months. And all 3 of those come with their different responsibilities. And it's the kind of thing where, like we all support each other. Like as when the forest fire happened, I was quartermaster, but because the two people above me, first and second officer at the time, they were not able to go on the trip, I had to step up into first officer role, which was like, you didn't like another thing that I've always said is you do not make any growth in your comfort zone, and that pushed me so far out of my comfort zone.
That kind of relates to the hard thing.
That's a great quote, actually.
The comfort zone's very dangerous.
I will say
everybody
this
can become stagnant.
on behalf of me and Elijah. If you have not ever camped out, and Weston, and Cameron, if you have not ever camped outside in the woods,
Do it!
I'm not really a fan of like going with a ton of people and going camping, but I just like to be in the woods at night. I think it's cool sitting.
I was just saying maybe get a little bit further away from the microphone, that's all.
If sitting out with some lawn chairs in the middle of the night is so great, it's such a great thing.
Yeah.
Talking with your friends.
I will say the kind of camping that we've done is not really conventional camping.
It's like horror camping.
Yeah, wait. So basically, for the audience, we would take a tent just out, and not like a normal like regular camping woods, just some random woods in his neighborhood.
We would go in the middle of the night.
Yeah, in the middle of the night. We would call it like a dark drop, where we'd go in the middle of the night to this like scary looking forest out in the middle of his neighborhood, and bring like your Stranger Things weapons or something like a baseball bat.
I have a stop sign shield.
Yeah, he has a shield made out of a stop sign.
What is this, Mad Max?
Yeah. Yeah. Like, we bring, like, baseball bats. I think we brought airsoft guns once. Like, pocket knives, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And we wouldn't stay up all night, but we would just kind of, like, stay up, like, walking around this dark, horrifying forest with, like, pretty much no fire. We would never have a campfire.
Because
campfire makes camping.
It's neighborhood woods, so we don't want to
Like
the forest fire.
Attract the police.
Weston, you're quiet. Let's hear something from you. What's going on?
About what?
Let's
about camping.
I'm saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
so
I think we were kind of
what I'm doing is trying to get back to topic, and
Okay.
you're really good at that.
Okay, so what topic would you like to start back with?
The topic
Whatever
of
the
the
Right,
topic
but-
liar podcast.
Yeah.
Right, but that's kind of broad. What specifically? Because we covered some of it.
Well,
What are you
I think we
so-
can relate.
If there's people in this podcast that are listening, and maybe
The
they're
one person.
let's just say they're younger than you, and they're trying to grow up to be more masculine. What would your advice be to make them more masculine?
Read the Bible and pray.
Okay, great.
Being completely honest,
Great advice.
it outlays a ton of really good. I mean, for instance, Paul. I would say it's extremely masculine to go to jail for Christ.
Mhm.
Like, he was in jail and still writing letters to churches, praying for them, and he would ask for prayer also. But like, he was one of, the most bold. He did a complete 180.
Didn't he
there are
say
tons
his,
of
like,
examples.
His, like, body submitted to his mind or something? Isn't he the one that
I
said that?
think I
Yeah.
wouldn't be surprised.
That's like the most masculine
Yeah.
thing right there.
Yes.
Like your body submitted to
right,
your
and
mind.
that's another
So
thing
your
that I would say.
desires, all that stuff.
That's another thing I would say. Masculinity is not toxic. Modern masculinity can be. But saying that it's masculine to go sleep around or do any of that, that's not masculine. Masculine is to be able to control selfish, sinful urges and make your body submit to your mind.
It's an animalistic form of masculinity.
I think
It's
the
just like-
masculinity
like-
that you're more talking about is just like Christian masculinity, because without
Well, that's
people,
what masculinity is, because God created gender roles. He created femininity and masculinity when he created male and female.
Right.
But people, like when they're born, don't have those morals. That has to be a religion. That has to be someone finding God. Like someone can be masculine without having that. So that I would say Christian masculinity is its own thing.
Well, actually,
I don't think
kind of based off of like people need morals. Like there's a verse in Romans that says like God has made His invisible qualities made known to us through creation, and there's another thing. I think like someone was able to prove that God exists just using the one assumption that there is moral truth, because like everyone living in society can figure out that killing someone is bad and doing something for the betterment of everyone is good. And like that's just built into how we live, and like true, we can have that reinforced.
Atheists
by,
have a hard time
They
explaining
do.
that.
They
yes,
do have a
like
difficult time
I've
explaining
had
that.
so many conversations online with atheists, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I believe that there's no God, and we're just gonna stop existing after we die." And I'm like, "Then why don't you do it?" Like,
But seriously, it's a justification to do
Yes.
whatever you want.
It is.
Let me ask
matters.
the table this.
Nothing makes sense. Nothing matters.
If
I don't think the table's
can
going to
s-
respond.
Let me ask the people, the court right here. Let me ask the round table this question.
It's the rectangle.
rectangle.
But
table.
You call it?
I would like to finish. I would like to finish answering your question though, real quick. I don't know. Was your
Do you mind?
yeah? No, you,
Okay.
you go ahead.
Do you think in this modern world someone can be masculine without being Christian?
So, I think you
To
can
be
have
the true meaning of
masculine.
masculinity,
I think you
no.
can have masculine aspects, but that's the thing. I think a lot of people are mistaking masculinity for sinful nature, because if you have it's instinctual to want to do sinful things because that's built in our nature. To push that under because some men have a more tendency to fall for certain things, to say that's masculine, I think that's just trying to rebrand it, I mean, to what the government society wants, because it makes you easier to control, thinking that if you just because you do a bad thing, that ties into your whole masculine side, and then making you, okay, you can't be masculine because that means this. I just think that that's wrong. I think masculinity was created by God. I don't think that you can be born without masculinity. I think masculinity is something that is the job of a father to teach his son, which also is a big problem in America.
Yeah, the
Single
father-
motherhood.
father-
That is a big
fatherlessness.
problem.
It's a massive problem.
But yeah,
Like, I don't know where I'd be without my dad.
Same.
Yeah,
Like,
it's a
I
huge
don't-
problem because without a real father mentor figure, these boys will turn to people like Andrew Tate. And I mean, yes, you can have a father figure and follow Andrew Tate, like we know this, but like, you know, it's easier to just kind of fall into the traps without like a strong, steady person. And there's kind of like, you know, it's
Andrew Tate's a good example for this. He has a lot of themes of masculinity. However, he also has a lot of themes that are not masculine, they're just sinful nature. And people like to shove those two together and label it as one, but I think it's two separate issues.
but it's a sinful nature that men in particular are attracted to.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
I think
But-
masculinity isn't talking about if you're a sinner or not. It's just talking about attributes that
I don't think
describe
it- right.
characteristics. Now, Christian masculinity, if you combine the two, now you're looking at some more success, right? Because they're both able to benefit. Because as we've seen, Christianity.
That's where I'm
now-
saying masculinity and modern
Christianity
masculinity
is
are
getting
different.
really weak nowadays.
Yes.
Mhm.
And masculinity is getting very strong. So if you combine the two of them, where do you go? I think it finds balance, and without that, they both fall.
I definitely think it's the kind of thing where, like, I love reading books. Like, how I do life is I read books. Like, I got into camping by reading a book about camping. I hated music. Like, I hated playing music until I read a book where, like, a really small part of the plot was playing instruments, and it kind of got me into music. But, like, one of my favorite theological books that I've read is The Great Divorce by C.S. Lewis.
I just got that recently, yeah.
And one of the scenes is, like, talking about how there's souls in, like, hell who are able to take, like, bus rides to heaven.
Oh.
And it's the kind of thing where, like, they get out of the bus and, like, they're described as, like, I don't know the verbatim description, but it was, like, they're described as having not as much form as anything in heaven. I think one of the languages is, like, they look like they're not real, and heaven looks like they look like they're on the edge of not existing. And, like, they step out of the bus onto the grass, and they're barefoot, and, like, there's blades of grass, and, like, they step on the blades of grass, and they don't bend the blade of grass. The blade of grass
I get you.
bends them.
Huh.
Wow.
And it's the kind of thing where, like, if you, like, have you ever thought about how heat exists, cold does not? Like, cold is the absence of heat.
It's the absence of heat.
Dark is the absence of light. There is no such thing as actual darkness.
Yes.
There is no such thing as actual cold. It is just not having heat or not having light. In the same way, evil does not exist by itself. Evil is having an absence of good. So in the same way, like, masculinity without godliness is just absence of existence. Because, like, if God is, like, God said, I am. Like, that is who he is. Like, he exists, and he loves us, and, like, he exists, and to follow him and to be godly is to be closer to he who is existence.
Wow.
That was pretty good.
That was
but
very good.
I think I'm able to see what you're talking about. So you and Weston are more saying that like it's not modern masculinity versus Christian masculinity. It's Christian masculinity versus worldly masculinity. That's what you're saying.
Kind of.
Yeah.
I think that God created masculinity, so I think that anything nowadays that people like to call modern masculinity that is sinful is just the world twisting what God intended for good. Like, it is masculine for, like, a man to want to protect his family. Mm-hmm. It is not masculine for a man to want to control his family. That's a sinful urge. It's masculine for a man to lead his family and want the best for them. So,
well, then why would men only get this urge? And
so
not
it's
women?
not.
So what would you call it then?
So one, it's not only men, but two, men and women are different.
But in general, men get this urge. So you would say it's a masculine urge, right? It's like a masculine urge to do this thing. I'd say
it's a sinful urge that the devil uses more against men than he uses against women.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if we're going to talk about Christian masculinity, we're going to talk about worldly masculinity. Mm-hmm. I think we wouldn't be doing anything justice if we didn't talk about Fight Club. And I think I'm going to let Elijah start that.
I've never seen this movie.
I haven't either, yeah.
Well, the themes are very evident.
Well, I'm just going to put something in, like, if you are a godly man, then you are masculine. Yeah. And if you are a godly woman, then you are feminine. So yeah. I wouldn't say we should say godly masculinity or worldly masculinity. I just say godliness.
I've seen a lot of Christians that I don't think are very masculine.
So,
like a lot of Christian
we should talk about godliness and worldliness.
Okay, yeah, that's true.
So I agree with that.
The pudgy soy boy that's a Christian is not masculine.
Right. And, they have aspects
on your
that are
definition of masculinity, because if your view of masculinity is like big muscly. Like, if your view of masculinity is the modern view of masculinity...
And I think that's more modern masculinity. I don't think that you have to have an 8-pack to be masculine. But,
well, I mean, Batman has a 9-pack, so...
You just have to be like a father, right? Like a control... You can raise your voice when you need to, and you have that power, and people will be quiet. And when you can be calm. Isn't that masculinity?
You need to have...
That's godliness.
That's also, like, in a relationship or just in a family, it is the man's job to be the most emotionally stable. Which, like, in the best way possible is just saying, like, it's the man's job to be able to, like, when life is going to crap, to sit there, say, I'm going to take emotion out of this, and I'm going to think logically, what is the best move here? Where... women can do that, but it is more difficult, and that's also good because they're mothers, and a mother needs to be more emotional to her child.
Yeah, and like nurturing and being able to like help people emotionally comes way more easy. And that's where like the man's inclination is just pick yourself up, it'll put hair on your chest. Good
right, and so that's also where this modern world is trying to pit femininity and masculinity against each other, but they were meant to work together, because there's every child that needs both ends of the spectrum. There are times when they need a man or their father to come in and say no and just be very strict and be like, that's not how this is going to happen, that's wrong. But there's other times where the problem or whatever they're getting in trouble or whatever that is, they might be in a certain scenario where the mother can recognize this isn't a time when they need to be like punished. This is a time where they just need to be like, basically where you just need to be there for them, be able to calm them down, be able to like figure out and basically be able to relate to them on more of an emotional level. And that's why men and women, that's why they work best together as parents.
Yes.
And because they both have different roles, not one that's better than the other, but different.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's and that's not saying that men can't be, like
emotional,
like
correct,
like emotional, and
correct.
Women can't be firm and opinionated and stuff. That's not what we're saying, but it's just we overcorrect everything,
Yes.
Like
overcompensate.
Yeah,
we overcompensate all the time. I just like words that start with C. Overcompensate, like forget the over part.
Yeah, we just not like overcorrect is what I mean. Because like back years and years and years ago, this would be unthinkable now. But it was common for men to be, like berated with never ever show your emotions, never ever cry, like just be a stone wall, like
be a man,
like like be a man, like you act like a woman if you have any emotions at all. And yes, there's definitely some truth that is not good necessarily. Like if you just keep everything inside forever, that's not gonna be good, right? Of course, like
How often do you see your dads cry?
That's not healthy. Yeah, well,
I agree.
I'm getting there.
Let
me get there.
He's
Let me
working.
get there. But we've
Let him
we've
cook.
overcorrected so much. Now it's just like men and women are equal apparently. And it's like men need to just cry all the time and just be emotionally vulnerable all the time and just say how they're feeling all the time. And I'm sorry. I don't care how much of a girl power feminist you are. No woman is attracted to that. No one. Literally no one. And like that's just the tip of the iceberg of the disadvantages of like overcorrecting to this degree. There is a balance, you know. There's a balance to be struck. Yes, you shouldn't be a brick wall. Like no woman wants to marry a brick wall with no personality and no emotions. But
A brick wall with abs.
Yeah, a brick wall with abs. Like no.
Well, actually, one of my friends, he was telling me that the opposite of love is not hate; it is apathy.
Yes, absolutely.
And like nobody is gonna want.
To have love, you have to have hate.
Yes.
And vice versa.
Yes.
And it's like the brick wall can't love and it can't hate, which is like, and also I've experienced people who just are so indifferent to people that, like, the person who was telling us about this said like, if you're confessing to a girl that you like them, what's gonna hurt more, them saying no, or them just completely not even giving you a thought?
Who are you again? Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, you'd rather be hated than someone be indifferent towards you.
Because at least they know who you are and they care about you, even if they only care in a negative sense.
Yes.
Correct.
Yeah.
I think the movie that really woke me up to like what we're talking about, the Andrew Tate stuff, is Fight Club, which is why I want to talk about that, because I haven't seen the movie, but I know a lot about it. I've looked at some stuff about it, and I've learned a lot, and has actually shifted my perspective on a lot of these things. So, I really want to talk about that, but I also really want you to bring it up because you're like the podcast guy. So.
Well, this is a joint discussion. But yeah, Fight Club. Obviously, I haven't seen the movie. It is
Our shirts really depict our mentality.
This is
true.
Like you can't see our shirts. But mine has freedom. It says freedom. It's actually merch from something. I'm not gonna go. I almost just fell over. Elijah says.
That's why you don't lean back in your chairs, kids.
Elijah says 1776 on it with American flag and some rifles.
Yeah.
Weston's red. What an American color.
Philippians.
Football. Yeah.
Philippians 4:13 shirt.
And that is like the depiction of like the place. Cavalry, like where the crosses are, and this is actually like, because we're on the topic of this, I like the shirt that I'm wearing is from like a missions trip that I went on, and the company, or I don't know if it's a company, but like the people who
the organization,
yeah, they like. I'm kind of a guy who is a sucker for like good looking shirts, and it's the kind of thing where like I feel like I'm in a way reliving the moment of the missions trip that I went on by wearing this shirt. And it's actually kind of funny because this shirt it was the last year's theme, and I went this year, and so they had, I think it was like a few hundred left over, so they were selling them for $1 each. Wow. So I got like 5 for $5, and it was crazy. And it's actually like a really nice shirt.
I have a lot of t-shirts. I intentionally, I'll break from this, I promise. But I got like a lot of t-shirts to just represent like all the different parts of my like personality or whatever, or just what I'm interested. I do a lot of that. So like this, like I'm super conservative and I love conservative stuff. So I got this. You're actually not gonna believe where I got this. I went to a Buc-ee's for the first time recently, and I walked in there. Yeah, I love this shirt.
Does it say Buc-ee's on?
No.
I wouldn't wear that.
No. Yeah, I went into Buc-ee's and I was like, I just heard all this hype from all these people saying like Buc-ee's is the best place on earth, like, you know, all this stuff. And I walked in there and I was just like, it's just like a loud grocery store
it's
cafeteria.
So overstimulating.
It feels like a summer camp cafeteria thing. And I went to the bathrooms because that's the thing that people talk about all the time for some reason. And it was weird. Like
they're so big though.
They're huge. Like the stalls have like lights on them telling you when to like get out and get. And they're like people cleaning the sink as you're using them. It's weird. I don't know. And it's just like, this is overkill. Just I don't care about this. But anyway, this is so off topic. back to Fight Club. Yeah, so I haven't seen the movie. Obviously, it's very vulgar from what I've heard and has a lot of not.
Yeah,
good
we're
content.
not recommending
no,
the movie.
no.
We're just talking about what it shows
I've
us
seen
about.
edits.
If you just go into masculinity and not Christian masculinity, where do you end up? Because at the end of the movie, they destroy the whole city. They blow up the whole city. It's terrorism. So
Yeah.
yeah,
They what?
and yeah,
they
I mean,
seriously do.
Fight Club makes a lot of good points. Like the character Brad Pitt, like Tyler Durden and stuff. I've never seen a character like that before.
I've never seen one.
Like
so
I had this dream once recently, and I watched Fight Club in the dream, and I woke up from that and I was like, there was something about that character that was so just like I've never seen before. And
any writer would be very interested by this story because there's a character who lives in this modern society, and he's just called the narrator. And then there's the character Tyler Durden, who actually doesn't exist. He's just a figment of the narrator's imagination, and he's everything the narrator wants to be. So it's the Brad Pitt character. He's muscular, he's charismatic, he has all these attributes. Meanwhile, the narrator has like insomnia, works like a 9 to 5, is just rotting away in the modern life that we all live in.
cubicle. Yeah.
And by the end of the movie, they have like become so interconnected in some way that like they're the same person or something. And it's like,
I mean, they are. That was it from the beginning. I think. Like,
so yeah. Once again, like I've only been able to like figure this out through stuff.
edits.
But no, not edits. Like
Wikipedia.
the internet and just stuff.
Right.
Learning about this movie, and a lot of people really don't like that movie. Like it was, a lot of people really thought it should be rated over
X?
R. Yeah, when it came out. And
So, wait, because of the swearing and all that, or like because of like
no,
the
because
themes?
just because of the themes and other stuff.
Right.
Also, my dad, I was talking to him about it one time, and he searched up like positive qualities of Fight Club, and they just say none.
Wow.
So, like, when you just go into masculinity by yourself, you're really gonna hurt yourself, and that's probably gonna get a lot of hate.
Modern masculinity.
Probably is.
Worldly.
When you just go into masculinity,
And
just masculinity without God.
Masculinity was created by God, though.
Oh gosh, here we go.
Men were created by God. Masculinity
Yes.
is its own thing.
Okay.
Masculinity is our mind.
Were gender roles created by God?
Or what?
Gender roles. Like the fact that the man is supposed to protect the family and
But
provide, and
before the
mom
fall,
is supposed
there was
to.
I think
there was nothing
I
to
think
protect
Fight
the
Club
family
is
from.
definitely modern masculinity because in it shows how hypocritical modern masculinity is because it's like be a man, be all this, but then they're like drinking and smoking and doing all this stuff like what we're talking about with Andrew Tate. That's not actually masculine, but they condition it to.
Yeah, like it's
that's
like
what- okay,
it's
but-
identical to Andrew Tate.
No, but that's what I'm
hence the
saying,
making
though.
money
You've
thing.
been saying that is masculine this whole time, though. That's what I'm saying. It's not masculine.
We're talking about worldly masculinity is what I'm talking
That is
What would
I'm-
you say
right.
is worldly masculinity that's not in like actual godly masculinity?
Well,
A
pretty
ton.
much everything.
Yeah, a
pretty
ton.
much everything I
A
just said,
lot.
like smoking, doing all these things.
Destruction.
Self-destruction.
Yeah.
Right.
Like
I'd say that's just worldliness.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
But
I'm
it's
saying
it's
yes.
specific
Say
to
yes.
men.
So
It's specific
what
to
people
It's
men.
are
not,
branding
though. It's
as-
just what the... So anything... According to that, though, Elijah, then anything that the devil attacks you with, if anything the devil attacks men with more than women is automatically masculinity under your definition.
I mean, I think we just have different definitions. Like, I think masculinity is...
No one's gonna listen to a debate on this. We need to clean it up, guys. We need to agree.
Everyone's going to listen to a debate.
Let's agree.
It's the best content.
That's he's right. That's why he owns the podcast.
Everyone
Everyone likes controversy and debates.
content. Yeah, like nobody wants to see somebody say something positive about a movie. All they want to do is them, like hating on it. It's like,
Well, actually-
here's why this popular thing sucks. Like
I actually saw this thing where this pretty popular person on Twitter, like, created 2 new accounts, putting out the same thing. One of them was positive, one of them was negative, and the negative one got so much more popular.
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
Of course. Just more
That's
entertaining.
an awesome
yeah.
test. Who was it? Do you know?
I don't even remember. It was like someone in the Zelda community or
Huh.
something. It was
Wow.
like something not related at all to
Interesting.
this.
So it's a social experiment. It just shows, I mean...
Tears of the Kingdom is
Controversy
better
sells.
than Breath of the Wild. Tears of the Kingdom is worse than... Wait, no. Those are both controversial opinions. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Breath of the Wild's better.
I personally do not care anything
this
about
podcast.
all of that.
No, this is not for this podcast.
I
Anyway.
do
back
not
to-
really play video games.
Yeah.
Neither do I.
Video games can be a topic for another
I play
podcast.
Wii
As
boxing.
in the concept of video games. And
Wii
how
box
they
is
can
practically it for me. Wii boxing.
You mean the boxing minigame in Wii Sports? This is
so that's so masculine.
This is so detached. No,
Don't sue us, Nintendo.
A
Don't
different,
sue us.
they would. A different episode, not now. Anyway, back to what we were saying about Fight Club.
Yeah.
Let's just.
We pretty much covered everything.
Yeah.
Okay. Another thing though that we could say about like real masculinity, which I believe is created by God, versus worldly masculinity. Worldly masculinity is like worldly masculine people.
Calls masculinity.
Right, exactly. I agree with that. So what they call masculinity is like acting with violence, like in response to everything. But real masculinity is knowing when to fight, when to sit down and have a conversation. It's knowing, does this need to be escalated? Sit back, take emotion out of it. Where does this need to go?
Right.
Is it what would bring this person closer to God? Would it be going in a fight and because they actually they're not going to turn right now and this is like a problem that needs to be addressed now? Or is it going to be a more, okay, hey, let's sit down and let's see what we agree on and then let's go from there.
Sorry, did I interrupt?
No, go ahead.
Okay. The concept that all violence is bad is absolute garbage.
Correct.
Like, yes, violence harms people, but there is an absolute 100% time and place for violence.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like no violence ever. That's absolutely insane. If someone's breaking into your house and attacking your family, it's like, well, I'm against violence. I can't stop that. And it's like, no, of course you're not going to do that.
Nobody.
Like, nobody's going to do that unless they're like a coward
Insane.
or insane.
Suicidal.
Well, that's like the question that I sometimes when I would talk about this all the time, I'd ask people, like, if someone broke into your house, would you shoot them? Would
Yes,
you do that? Could
of
you
course.
kill someone if they came into your house? And it's like people really have to think about that sometimes because it's a really uncomfortable thing. Like,
Well, if you're thinking about it,
and then like
legally,
Mike,
you can only legally kill someone if they are presenting a lethal threat to you.
yes, if they're in their house, that
Yes.
counts. But
in the middle, I think they have to
especially
be
armed.
threatening
Yes,
you.
an
Yes,
armed
if they're
criminal
armed in your house,
Yeah.
absolutely.
well, it's hard to know.
I
right?
mean, yeah,
are you going to take that risk?
It's
Are
a
you gonna
tough. It's a tough.
Are you going to
legal
take that
question.
risk with your family?
Right.
Middle of the night, they shouldn't be there.
Yeah, they
Sorry.
shouldn't. I
Sorry.
agree.
I got
Yeah.
locks on my doors. Like
Yeah.
if you're in my house,
That's true.
Absolutely. And that's again, I think
I
that's
mean, killing is not the goal, but if that's
I've asked people that question before, and they say, "Well, I wouldn't kill them because I don't know if they're Christian, and I wouldn't want to like do that." And it's like, okay, I really see where you're at. Your heart's in a really good place, but like
Sometimes you gotta.
God,
you are the protector of your family in the physical world.
your
It is
family,
your job.
family comes first, not the stranger that's breaking into your house.
if that was a thing,
If you want to try and ruin them,
Christians would
I'm
like
for
get
it,
robbed
but-
so much if that was a
Right,
thing that we
yes,
accepted.
yeah.
Like because it would be like we
Can I share the gospel with you before you kill my family and rob me? Please.
No.
That's not how
So that's
reality.
back to
goes.
what I
can
was
make it
saying.
funny,
Is
but
there's
it's
a
not
ton-
really that.
That's what I'm
funny.
saying. Like, you're right. It's not that funny.
Especially
But,
as a Christian to live with that. That's like a hard thing. Even
is
if
a
you
hard thing.
are talking
and there's a
about
lot of
it.
controversy on that.
Yeah.
But like that's like what I was saying. Like masculinity, like especially how God designed it. Like you need to know when is a time to fight, when is not a time to fight. In that scenario, if someone is coming at your kids with a weapon, that is a time to fight 100%. But just because someone disagrees with you, that does not mean it's a time to fight. A lot of the world tries to tell you that the definition of masculinity is just reacting with violence and pure aggression and physicality to stuff. That's just not true.
No.
Yeah, I've always been like perplexed by the idea of war and like what does God think about war, and I think I've seen this quote on the internet kind of circulating. I'm sure people listening to this have also seen this, where it's like you don't kill or fight or whatever because you hate the people in front of you. It's because you love the people behind you.
Yeah.
Right.
Like if you're going with that intent and you don't mean to kill someone that's running up the stairs, like you're trying to save the people behind you. I don't know how that could be a bad thing.
So,
it's unfortunate.
Killing and murder are also two different things.
They're
Because
completely
like
different.
murder
Yeah, they
is obviously very bad. That's that rule initially did come from the Bible.
Thou
And
shalt not murder.
exactly. And it's like
which is identified as like an unlawful killing, or like
correct.
unlawful or unjustified. I
Correct.
think is
Yes.
another one of
So,
the
like,
definitions.
I don't know if we want to get into that, but like yeah, so like there's so like war, it's you're killing to protect versus killing to kill or benefit yourself. That's different.
And kind of off of what Andrew said about like nobody kills in a war because they hate the other side, because it's because they love the people on their side. like I remember hearing a story about Ulysses S. Grant, the Confederate general in the Civil War. He was on the Union side. He was in the position of commanding the Union's armies. He was from Virginia. He couldn't bear to fight and kill people from his hometown of Virginia.
Yeah.
So he left a powerful position in the Union Army to fight for his hometown, not because he agreed with slavery,
He disagreed with them.
not because he agreed with anything that they were fighting for, but because he couldn't handle like I'm thinking
Fighting against his hometown.
Yeah, I'm thinking
friends.
like he had people like who he grew up with, like people who he went to school, like people who he learned with, people who he played with, people like probably even people he was related to, and like even if like I know that there comes a point where like you have to like
do what's
Choose
right.
what's
you
right.
have to do
And
what's
we're
right.
talking about in the past how people used to rely on each other and have that community much more than it is today.
Which is what I'm trying to
Yeah.
get to again.
Right.
Which is why I want
Yeah,
to.
you'll obtain it, bro. You'll do it.
Which is why I want to get rid of all. Like I've honestly been talking to Elijah a bunch, just kind of sarcastically about how much more community would improve if we just knocked out Wi-Fi.
Dude, Wi-Fi is like not. Okay, I'll save that for another one too.
Well, that is a long rabbit hole.
Yeah,
my God.
EMFs, all that stuff. Yeah, we'll save that for another one. But this, I'm holding my phone right now. This takes me from so much stuff,
Yes.
and it takes you, person watching this.
And all of us here.
Yeah, it takes it all of us.
I don't care how disciplined you think you are. You can always follow that.
And you can always do better.
Yeah.
Also. You can always improve.
Yeah.
So.
Wasn't it? There was one sermon that the pastor of the church that a few of us go to that was like, we are God's masterpieces and we will not be finished. Like we will not ever stop growing and stop improving until the day we die.
Yeah.
Until we are justified in the final resurrection in which we rise with Jesus. And it's the kind of thing where like there's kind of the idea of being the best version of yourself, like that there's merit in wanting to be the best version of yourself, but there's also the fact that some of us will reach the level that God wants us to be so far from now. Like we were talking about Paul earlier, like for the majority of his early life, he was like he described as like a Pharisee of Pharisees. Like he had all the quote unquote holiness that he could get as a Jew, but then like he was condemning the church, and like because he thought he was doing what was right, and like he spent so much of his life going in the wrong direction, but he didn't let that stop him from writing about a third of the New Testament.
Yeah.
That didn't
Dang.
stop him from
Yep.
founding churches that I'd almost argue are probably the reason indirectly that some of us are having this conversation now, or that some of us are listening.
Christians have done so much for society, like
St. Jude's.
Yeah.
For one small example, thanks Ryan Trahan. One small example is like St. Jude's being just like helping people who are sick.
Yeah.
I think that, like, I guess it's an example of, like, you can always turn your life around. You can always get better. Because as I was actually driving here, I realized something. I realized that all the best characters in the stuff that we love, think of your favorite character, they always at one point turn into the villain. And why people like that the most is because it's the most real.
And
like,
we see ourselves in it.
In real life, there's not a clear-cut hero and villain, antagonist and protagonist kind of thing. That doesn't exist. We like to think as humans, like when we're born and that kind of thing, that everything coming against us is bad, and hopefully everything we can put out is good, right? Mm-hmm. And the world will corrupt you and turn you into and put you through things and stuff, and sometimes that mindset will shift, and that's how you get terrible people. But all the characters, I mean, name characters you love, they all turn into something that the last thing they would have wanted to turn into.
I actually
and then most times they come back.
I've actually been getting into writing fiction, and one of the things is you have to make, for a character to be interesting, they have to be flawed.
Yeah.
Because nobody wants to read a perfect character.
Yeah.
Like, kind of, like, I was thinking, when you said favorite character, I was thinking, like, literally every single character from Lord of the Rings. And it's like you have...
I don't know, I haven't really read or watched.
You want story.
Well, I know the story. I've read the books, but I don't really, like, know it in, like, a...
Yeah.
You've read all of the books?
They're not too long, honestly.
Oh, really?
It was
Those
a
are
long
short.
time ago. It was, like, middle school.
I've read the Lord of the Rings series all the time through 8 times in the last 4 months. I'm obsessed right now.
Wow.
But, like, thinking about it, you have, like... You have
I
all...
think it's cool. I like the world and stuff. I just don't like... I can't nerd about it or anything. I'm sorry.
Like, when you write a character, like, one of the things that all great characters have are contradictions. So you have, let's say, like, I don't know, but someone, like, let's make a character right now. Let's say, like, a character who is in the army and hates violence, let's say. That would be a very interesting character to read. Because then you know.
Desmond Doss, yeah.
It's a real person too. It's not even a character.
Because then you bring in the moral questions of who do we fight for, like why, at what point does it become good to fight and all that kind of stuff. And the reason why so many books have so many characters that people attach to is because characters make mistakes just like we do, and those characters overcome those mistakes. And sometimes you have, like, the characters who the entire plot is undoing the mistakes of others, but I feel like almost the best types of stories are a character makes a mistake, and the story and the plot and the monster that they overcome over the course of the plot is something that they've done. Like, almost kind of like the Tom Holland Spider-Man movies, where you have, like, almost every single villain of the Tom Holland Spider-Man movies was created by Tony Stark.
Huh.
And it's, like, kind of thinking about the fact that...
Wait, let me...
Like, kind of...
Just the
I don't-
first two.
There's
Just
only
the
two.
first
Oh,
two.
yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
there is
Wait,
only
hold
two.
on.
Like,
what would
original.
you say is your favorite character? Like, if you had to make one character.
Oh, that's a hard choice.
So we come back to you. Elijah.
I gotta go with Peter Parker.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Peter Porker.
Yeah, like, I think they're obviously way deeper characters
And then he turns into
in
Venom.
fiction. Yeah,
So
yeah, and he's got the symbiote stuff. And yeah, that part from that one movie where he does that thing. But
what about you?
Yeah.
Favorite character.
It's hard. Are we going for, like, favorite, like, Christian character that I would want as a role model, or just favorite
No,
character
no,
that you just find most
favorite
interesting?
fiction, right?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
we're gonna
fiction.
go Oliver Queen from the show Arrow.
Okay.
Yep.
I think maybe I'm, like, way too basic for you guys. I think mine's Bruce Wayne. I think Bruce Wayne is super relatable.
all of ours are superheroes.
He's
That's my second.
what?
That's my
I
second.
think Bruce Wayne's so cool.
Bruce Wayne's my second.
If you watch those Dark Knight movies, I have some trouble with the middle one. I feel like it's a little bit. I have trouble as a Christian enjoying it as much, but like, those movies are so good. Oh man.
If I
Yeah.
had
Anyway,
to
back to Cameron.
Right now I'm deciding between two. Samwise Gamgee from Lord of the Rings and Aragorn, also from Lord of the Rings. Because you have, like, such... Like, when you watch the movies, Howard Shore does such a good job of composing as so you get emotionally attached to the characters and emotionally attached to the world and everything.
Music makes a story. in my
Yes. And I just feel like the reason why I love Aragorn is because he has, like, he's... Well, the reason I like Tolkien as a whole is you have the characters who should be the main characters. So you have, like, the Aragorn, who's, like, the heir to the throne of Gondor, and you have, like, Legolas, who's, like, an elf who's next in line for the kingdom, and then you have, like, all those characters who have, like, you have Gandalf, who has, like, all these magical powers and everything. But the main characters of the books are hobbits. These super, super unassuming characters who are, like, their literal only character trait is small. Like, they're described as being small and insignificant.
And, like, gluttonous, is that? I mean,
not really gluttonous. Like, they're described as having, like, a simple life.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, they do smoke their hobbit weed or whatever, and they do have, like,
Hobbit weed. They definitely sell that Hobbit weed.
But it's the kind of thing where there's a lot of arguments nowadays over whether Tolkien was, like, Christian, or, like, whether he was meaning Lord of the Rings as an allegorical work or not. But just, like, the fact that Frodo Baggins, Samwise Gamgee, Merry, and Pippin are such unassuming characters, who then you have Frodo and Sam, who then carry out the action pretty much single-handedly that wipes out an evil that was threatening all life on the continent. And then you have Merry and Pippin, who play huge roles in the battles that help change the history of that world. And it's kind of showing how the world is not shaped by the few people who have all the power. Like, the world is shaped by the people who you wouldn't expect. And God uses, like, back to Paul again. Who would expect Saul, when I'm talking about his pre-Christ form, let's say Paul. Like, Saul was very, very against Christ and against everything that he stood for, because he thought it was an affront to everything that Judaism was. Who would have thought someone killing Christians, someone literally, like it says, breathing threats to Christians with every breath he breathed, someone who literally lived their life to kill Christians, who would think that he would, again, write a third of the New Testament and found churches that would become these huge, like, theological centers that would then fund the missions that would just spread everything east. And then, by extension, I'd say one of the reasons that America has so many churches is Paul. And, like, if we wanted to, like, actually be, like, Jesus and God are obviously the reason for all of that, but, like, thinking about the butterfly effect, where I could talk to someone who was, like, we were kind of using the example of, like, Weston was telling me about this influencer who, like, was about to kill themselves, and, like, let's use that example. Let's say there's someone who is having a plan on how to remove themselves from this earth, and you talk to them once, and you're genuine with them, and you give them encouragement and love, and basically are a beacon of God to them. You cause them not to commit suicide. Imagine how much of an effect that person will now have, and then all the people that they affect, imagine how much effect they'll have. And, like, it's kind of like the butterfly effect, where, like, something, like a pin dropping on one side of the world could cause a hurricane on the other side of the world. Or, like, one leaf falling could cause another building to fall, or something like that.
Those memes out there where you go back in time and kick a rock.
The timeline.
Yeah, and it messes up everything.
Yeah.
So Logic, do you have any other, like, questions or anything else?
Yeah, so just to kind of wrap us up, we've been talking a lot about, like, bad masculinity, or, just to go by your definition, like, worldly stuff that influences men.
Vanity.
Yeah, like, all that kind of stuff. But to just wrap us up, what do you think are some healthy alternatives? What do you think are some stuff that men can strive to be, to learn from, to be like a beacon of hope against this wrong idea of what men should be?
I mean, like I said at the very beginning, like, read the Bible, because a lot of it is in there. I mean, I know we talked a lot about knowing when to resort to violence and when not to. I mean, just honestly, just a ton of stuff like that.
Like, violence can't just be a masculine thing, though, because, like, men control their actions and stuff, and if you've seen those woke people, they get so violent so fast.
Well, that's
they
what I'm
go
saying.
to
is that
violence
the world,
instantly
well,
because
that's what
their
I'm saying.
mind
The world
can't
is trying to
do the conversation.
The world tries to tie in a lot of sinful nature that apply more to men than women into masculinity. And they're not doing this to femininity, which is interesting, but they're doing it to masculinity, where like
I'd almost argue that they are though.
I'm sure that they are, just not at the level probably.
Yeah.
And it's like they're trying to say like they're trying to push and honestly there's a ton of people that aren't even like on the other side, but on that side that are trying to say no, it's masculine to like, want to fight and do all this. I'm like, it's masculine to want to fight for your family. Yes, it's not masculine to want to fight Joe down the street because you don't like him. Like that's a self-control issue of you need to be slow to anger.
Yeah, something that I think is that self-control is one of the most, if not the most masculine virtue that you can have.
Yes.
That is what makes a strong man.
That's also what men are better at than women in a way that they need to not self-control, but self-control over emotions. Like men need to be able to say, okay, I'm angry, but I'm not going to do this because they need to be able to have that self-control. And women do to a certain degree, but it's also, there's a good and a bad side of that. It's good that men can do that, but sometimes it could be bad. Right. Same with women. It's all in moderation. Everything in the world is in moderation. Right. And so, as Cameron was saying, find a balance.
Like self-control over your emotions, self-control over your actions. And that's why like people like Andrew Tate, they claim to be strong men. They are actually the weakest men. They do not have any self-control.
I disagree. I don't think they're weak.
I do. I think they're very.
I think he's weak in areas and strong in areas because
he may be physically strong, but I think he's mentally extremely.
I wasn't
mentally
saying like that.
Yes, mentally extremely weak because a man who does not have self-control is absolutely weak. If you can't even control your own mind, then you can't just say like. You can't just go around saying all this stuff. You are not.
I'd say he definitely can control his own mind. He just doesn't have a good morality on the basis of which he does that. Like he can say he's going to do something and he does it. However, it would be much better if he chose to include that in choosing one woman to stay with for his whole life.
It's not like that he's weak. It's just that he doesn't make the same decisions. He doesn't care about.
But I think that is a form of weakness. Like. If you're so weak that you can't commit yourself,
would you say you have this attribute that you say Andrew Tate doesn't have?
Well, I'd say we're all fallen. We have different degrees of self.
Okay, I think I get what you're saying.
Okay, there you go.
I think he's.
I think what you're saying is that he doesn't have the self-control to stay with one woman. That's where I would disagree. I think that he just doesn't care to have the self-control to do it. I think if he tried, he could. I think he has a lot of good mental control.
Yes, but the fact that he doesn't try proves
I don't think that's
is
weak. I think it's just wrong. Like, does that make sense? Like, I think he just morally just disagrees morally. I don't think it's necessarily because I'm not going to call everybody weak that disagrees with me. Does that make sense?
Well, yes, that's what I think is wrong with that.
But if you don't have this self-control, that is a form of weakness.
Right. So I think that
you fall
but I
victim
don't
to your
think
own
it's
personal pleasures.
I don't think that it's that he doesn't have
you're too weak
self-control.
against your own personal pleasures.
I don't think it's that he doesn't have self-control. I think it's just that he doesn't see that as an area to need self-control. Does that make sense?
Yeah. He doesn't have the knowledge.
Right.
If you were not a Christian,
I don't think he's that ignorant. I don't know if he's that ignorant.
Well, kind of back to the
also
finding a...
Wait, hold on. He's actually Islamic. And they have a ton
I was
of
going to
beliefs
mention that.
are
he was raised Christian.
that are really hard to
Christian.
follow. Like they are a very devoted religion and stuff. So for him to be able to follow that, let's just say he follows it well. I don't really know. That's strength.
That's what I'm saying. I do think
it's
he has
misled,
a lot
but
of
it's
mental.
still strength.
Right. That's what I'm saying. I think being misled and being weak are very different things.
Yeah.
So back to finding a balance. I think Elijah was asking how we can be the godly kind of masculine, and how we can have the strength that comes from God. And all my brainstorming notes are how we're told that there's two extremes and there's nothing in the middle. Kind of like I said earlier, either super super obese and unhealthy, or super super overly healthy to the point that it becomes an idol. And then you have on the left side you have overly atheist, a belief in nothing.
Right.
And on the other side, specifically with Andrew Tate, you have like you have Islamic extremism, and then I'd almost say to the point of you have the choice between artificial pleasure and natural pleasure.
Yeah. Natural pleasure has to grow though. It takes a long time.
And then I'd say, especially on the side of like on just like the left, you have like over dependence on things, but then on the right, on the far right, you on like the Andrew Tate mindset, you have under dependence on things.
So it's all on you. I can do everything.
Yes.
It's all I have to rely on.
And then the opposite of that is I don't have to do anything. Like putting too much responsibility on yourself and putting not enough responsibility on yourself, and then talking about all that kind of stuff, but finding it where you're not overly unhealthy, but you're not also idolizing being healthy, and then like not like I don't just like not being super focused on having natural pleasure, but also not allowing yourself to be pleasured by the things of the Matrix, or like and also not like I think one of the largest ones is underdependence and overdependence, and finding a way to be perfectly dependent.
It's interesting because it's interesting how like kind of the community on the non-Christian side is very how they've found a unique way to push independence recently, especially towards women and all of this. But there's a big problem with independence because it's extremely unbiblical. It's okay to be independent in areas, but telling women to be independent makes them not want to submit to their husband or even work together with their husband. And then pushing independence towards men causes them to not want to submit to God. And that's a big problem because God, like, independent people don't go to heaven.
To their wife, so they can go and sleep with anyone.
So independent people don't go to heaven. You have to be dependent on God.
Yes.
Now there is a level of independence that's of course good. You should be able to. Your family should be able to sustain themselves.
In your parents' house at 35. Yeah.
Correct. But it's again, there's a balance to everything because too much independence leaves you not in a good relationship with a spouse or with God. So that's a big problem.
I'd say, kind of continuing off of what Weston's been saying, is like we're told to think in the way of the world, which is like depending on which way you look at it, depending on the world, it's like either get as happy as you can and get as much, like they almost treat it as a video game, getting as much XP or as much money, but having, I'd say, like, just to close out my notes, is just like having a heavenly mindset of just like not viewing it as an XP and not viewing it as a game, viewing it as viewing it as a way that you are going to spread God's love and a way that you are going to live for God every day. And when you get focused on God, then you will become emotionally strong and emotionally dependent, and then you'll become you'll have everything fall into place. Like, just kind of finishing off, people will say you have to have everything together, and then you got to go to God. But what the truth is, you go to God, and God will help you make everything get together.
You don't get clean to take a shower.
Yeah.
You get...
Yes. Yeah. I think as my last thing, I'll say that I think these red pill people would make really good Christians, because Christianity is the religion that says you're going to suffer. Like, it says it's going to be hard. It says people are going to hate you and all this stuff. Andrew Tate doesn't seem to mind people hating him. He doesn't seem to mind, like,
he also makes a lot of money off.
He
makes a lot of money off of people hating him. But.
Like the ice baths, all these things that these people do that are really hard and stuff. Like, and really uncomfortable. I think that's like, Christianity talks about that too. It says it's going to be hard. It says it's going to be uncomfortable.
Carry your cross daily.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. And,
oh, and thank you, Elijah, for inviting us out here and bringing us back on the
I'm definitely looking forward to doing this regularly.
Of course.
Great time.
On that note, I think we can wrap it up here today. These episodes will release every other Friday, and there's going to be a variety of episodes. Sometimes it'll just be me, sometimes it'll be some of us, sometimes it'll be all of us, and sometimes we'll bring in other guests. I'm very excited to see where this will go. I hope you all are as well. Thank you guys for listening to this very first episode of the Patriot Generation, and we'll see you next time.